Quick question, how did Kobe end his last game? How many points did he score? 60. It was a storybook ending, and what I'd like to do is I'd like to flash back to the very beginning of his career. Jemele Hill did an interview with him through BET, and she asked him about that transition from high school to the pros.
Thank you for joining us and for doing this. As you know, the theme of it is, again, to learn different things, and you've been through such an interesting journey, still continuing. So I figured I would start it at the very beginning. As good as you are as a basketball player, as much as you have accomplished, people forget that when you came into the league, people kind of thought you sucked. That was sort of the theme in the rap, like,
absolutely.
He can't be that good. So you didn't have instant NBA success, and people kind of forget that. How did you, or how much did not having that instant success, how did you deal with that?
Honestly, I never paid attention to it. So it wasn't until years later that I realized that people thought I sucked. Like when I was going through it, I was so focused on trying to become one of the greatest that I literally did not hear anything that anybody else was saying. It was like, you know, the gates open and, you know, Secretariat, it's all out the gates and he has the blinders on. I have no idea what's over here and what's over there. I have no clue. So I could sit here and say it was like, you know, I'm tough, it doesn't bother me, but the reality is I didn't know, so.
Kobe, when was he a rookie? Does anybody know what year that was? 1996. What wasn't around in 1996? Social media, so it was probably easier for him to do that. Can we agree with that? So anybody that talks to him now will tell you that he is hyper-focused. It's almost compulsion. And so what I did is I asked Mike Krzyzewski, who coaches at Duke, who coached Kobe with the men's national team, what is the best thing that you learned from Kobe? Here's what he told me.
The best thing Kobe taught me was how he prepares. Like he's the same every day. And that you ask him to do something, he does it. And you know, it's straight. You know, it's not a winding road. It's straight down the middle, and I love that.
So pretty consistent to what Kobe said, right? What I'd like to do is show you a game clip. This is an elimination game in the playoffs against the Utah Jazz at their place. So we're going to pick it up with 11 seconds left. Tie ball game. Kobe has the ball. Let's see how this plays out.
So Kobe Bryant, the young rookie, straight from high school. 8 seconds left. Bryant guarded by Russell. 5 seconds left. 4. Bryant drives, pull up, shot on the way. No good. Carmelo rebounds. We go to overtime. Bounce wide right. Van Exel fake stock away. Cross court left. Open. Kobe Bryant for 3. Another air ball. He shoots back-to-back air balls. Jazz basketball.
That's hard to believe.
Van Exel, yo-yo. Van Exel backs it out straight away to Kobe Bryant. Bryant for 3. It's short again. Air ball. Air ball. The young rookie 3 times. He shot air balls. Here at pressure. Stockton with the ball. So front court. Jazz with him. Stockton all over him. 8 seconds. 7 seconds. Here's a three-pointer. Air ball again by Kobe Bryant. Another air ball. 4 seconds left. It's Stockton. It's over.
I love asking athletes, like, when would you have stopped shooting, right? Just to see. Very few of them said that they would have gone all the way to 4. Jemele asked Kobe about that experience. He reflects.
So when you were airballing those three-pointers against Utah, you were not aware that people were thinking that this guy's going to be a huge disappointment?
No, like what I was thinking was, like, damn, I should have made him, right? And then I said, well, why didn't I make him, right? So I was able to think tactically, right, as opposed to thinking emotionally. Right? I was able to think tactically, and the answer I came to was that, well, in high school I was used to playing a max of 35 games. NBA, I mean, this would be 120th game of the season, playing with grown men. My legs weren't ready for it. You know, I knew I wasn't nervous. I knew it wasn't a moment where I capitulated to the pressure. It was just more endurance and training my body differently than I had. So I was able to think very tactically and then went out and did it.
Just a show of hands, how many of you guys struggle thinking tactically as opposed to emotionally at times? Now, let's look at why Kobe might not be reacting emotionally. When she asked him, what's the best advice you could give young players, he said, I think the biggest thing for young players now is to ask why. So when that happened to him, he asked the question why. And what was his reason? His legs were tired, right? And I find that fascinating because he said in high school, how many games did he play? 35. Professionally, where was he? 120. What did Kobe do? He created his own reality. And that's part of what makes him so great, is he embraces his own narrative. And so she's going to ask him this question, and I'd like to ask you this question. Are you the type of person that loves to win or hates to lose? And I'd actually like to see a show of hands on this one. How many would say that you're a person that loves to win? Show of hands. Okay, hates to lose. That's proportionate to the locker rooms I'm in. So she asked Kobe, here's his answer.
I always think that there's two types of players, players who love to win and players who hate to lose. Which one are you?
I'm neither.
Meaning?
I'm neither. Meaning that, you know, I play to figure things out. I play to learn something, right? Because I think if you play with a fear of failure, or you play with the will to win, or that supersedes the fear of failure, I think it's a weakness either way, right? Because if you play with the fear of failing, you'll have the pressure on yourself to play, you know, to capitulate to that fear. If you play with the sense of I want to win, then you have the fear of what happens if you don't. But if you find common ground in the middle, in the center, then it doesn't matter. You're unfazed by either, right? And that enables you to really just stay in the moment, stay connected to it, and not feel anything other than what's in front of you. So, you know, I try to just be dead center.
So a lot of people in general are afraid of failure. How did you become one of those people who doesn't seem to be afraid of failing?
Failure, it doesn't exist. It's not existent. What the hell does that mean? Seriously, what does failure mean? It doesn't exist. It's a figment of your imagination. What does it mean?
You're pulling a Jedi mind trick
No,
on me
I'm
right now. I was
serious.
like, does it exist?
No, I'm serious. Like, I'm trying to think, like, how can I explain it? So, let's use happy endings, right? And then we can relate this to failure and why it's not existent. Like, you know, everybody talks about, like, everybody wants a happy ending, right? Now let's go to the reality of it, right? Let's look at a fairy tale story. Let's look at Snow White. Mm-hmm. She gets a happy ending. She finds Prince, whatever. She goes on. She lives happily ever after. Well, I call bullshit on that, because 2 months later, the fact is they had an argument and he's sleeping on the couch. Right? So the point is, the story continues. The story continues. So if you fail on Monday, the only way it's a failure on Monday is if you decide to not progress from that, right? So to me, that's why failure is not existent. Because, you know, if I fail today, okay, I'm going to learn something from that failure, and I'm going to try again on Tuesday. And I fail, and I'm going to try again on Wednesday. So it doesn't exist.
You know what? Should my ratings go in the tank? That's exactly what I'm going to say to the bosses. Hey, it doesn't exist.
Yeah, but you know what?
We should try it again on Thursday.
If your ratings go in the tank, and you know, which they won't, but if they did, you had learned a valuable lesson. You had learned a bunch of ways of how not to make a show that sucks. So then the next one will be better than the last one, right?
So are you telling me then, let's just say all the career statistics that you've compiled, they all still exist, you still play for the Lakers, still, and all of that still happens. If you finished your career without a championship, you would not have looked at that as a failure?
No, I would have looked at it as being extremely disappointed, because I had a dream and I had goals that I wanted to accomplish, right? And if I don't accomplish those goals, I have to ask myself why, right? So from my position, the reason why I would not have accomplished those things is poor leadership, failure to communicate properly with my teammates to put them in positions to be successful, lack of preparation. You know, all those things would be reasons why I don't win, right? So now, if that was the case, in my career, I have to sit and I have to analyze that. And then as I move and I evolve, you know, post-basketball into business or whatever, those same weaknesses are going to reveal themselves there, right? So if I don't learn from that, I'm going to struggle here too, right? So I can take those situations and learn from those and have them, make me a better person later in life. But if I don't take that stuff and apply that someplace else, then that's failing, which to me is the worst possible thing you could ever have, is to stop and to not learn.
So Kobe has created his own version of reality, and failure doesn't exist there. Why? The only way you can fail in his world is what? To stop. And because there's always progression, there's no failure. And when she asked them, and I want you to think about how most athletes answer this question, she asked them, how do you want to be remembered? What do you want your legacy to be? Where do most athletes go with that? Championships, accolades, all those different things, okay? When she asked him that, here's what he said. I left no stone unturned. I tried and learned as much as I possibly could to be the best possible player that I could be to help my team, be the best team that it could possibly be. If people said that I was the talented overachiever, I would be happy with that. Let's look at this second part, talented overachiever. He came up with that when he was 16. He realized that he was genetically gifted, and he said, if I can work like I'm the last person on the bench, I'm gonna be all right. And if you talk to any NBA player, and they're ultra competitive, they will say that Kobe's work ethic is second to none. He is a compulsive competitor. Look at that. That's where Kobe went when she asked the question. Learned as much as I possibly could. I think that Kobe's insatiable curiosity is what made Kobe, Kobe. And my question to you that I'd like you to think about, what if you prioritized growth over everything on your chase to reach your goals? I'd like you to think about that.